Judeo-Christian perspective. Not just generally religious. I know Tony Blair goes around lecturing and saying, you know, he advocates religion. But, you know, come on. That's pretty big.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to offend anybody.
Right.
He was in a debate with Hitchens once in England, and he was taking this, Tony Blair was taking the side, religion is good.
Is that...
And Hitchens was saying religion is bad. I'm thinking, Tony Blair, you're arguing a big, big case.
Yeah.
All the religions in the world he's got to defend.
But, you know, the one thing about... if you're going to be fisher of men, you need a big can of worms. Welcome back to the town square, and we're on the live with Reverend Mel and Reverend Jeff, and we're talking about their program coming up tomorrow night at the fireplace room at the Prendergast Library at 6:30. You can go to this public forum, and it's all about a Christian response to the atheist point of view. And I don't know, is Judy still with us, Chris? Judy is gone. Judy, feel free to call us back if you feel you didn't have enough time, but if you are free tomorrow night, 6:30 at the Prendergast Library, you can actually hear Pastor Jeff Short and Pastor Mel McGinnis in person. We'll offer an apologetic for the faith of Christianity. I guess flesh that out a little bit for us, Mel.
Yeah, what God reveals himself in the Bible is the basis for reason, logic, the uniformity in science. It's the basis for absolute morality. You take that away, then morality is up for grabs. Now, how can you really explain science without God, with that uniformity that God established from the beginning? It really brings it to the point of even the person of Jesus Christ. If he did not rise from the dead, then this is all for naught. It's a silly thing to even discuss. I mean, that's how pointed this is. That's how clear we get. If he is not up from the dead, then it's just a moot point.
Well, and wonderful opportunity for people to engage in civil discourse and talk about what's on their mind. But we have a full bank of calls. Let's go to line 2, it says, but 2's not blinking. Why don't we go to line 3? Welcome to the town square. You're on with Reverend Mel and Reverend Jeff. Hello.
Oh.
Hey Bob, how you doing? Sorry, I got the wrong numbers on the line, but we're all set now. Go ahead. Well, it's today with Reverend Mel and Pastor Jeff. We're talking about. Well, we're talking about the program they're going to be having at the Prendergast Library tomorrow night. They're going to be talking about atheism.
Emerging atheism, new atheism, that's very aggressive and evangelistic, so to speak, and how we as Christians counter that argument, not only showing where that weakness is, but why the Christian worldview makes sense, is logical, and is reasonable.
So that'd be a great thing for you to go to, Judy, and you can be right in on the ground floor. Well, I think Pastor Mel has an answer for you.
2 quick points. Viktor Frankl is quoted in a book, Can Man Live Without God, by Ravi Zacharias. In that quote, Viktor Frankl says, I'm absolutely convinced that the gas chambers of Auschwitz and Treblinka were ultimately prepared at the desks and in lecture halls of nihilistic scientists and philosophers. Basically, those who did not have a belief in God, those who are atheistic in their point of view, which goes to show that ideas do have consequences. And I think, too, in the training of youth, the university setting, I think we need to review what university is about. Diversity in unity. And that unity historically evolved around theology, that is, recognizing the existence of God, and all the academic disciplines, diverse in their nature, being united in what was called the queen of the sciences, theology, so that you had unity in diversity. Now we have diversity in confusion, without that lack of unity through sound theology.
Thank you, Angela. Always great to hear from you. And let's go to line 2 and hear from Christina. Christina, you're on with Pastor Jeff Short and Reverend Mel McGinnis.
Well, that brings up the question, can America exist without God? It seems like a lot of people today, led by the new atheists, are trying to get people on board with this notion that you can have civilization, you can have a prosperous, thriving nation without God. But I want to go back and say, wait a minute, let's look at that great experiment of a nation without God that just occurred last century in the Soviet Union. Here is a communist state set up specifically without God. Deliberately planned and deliberately carried out a strategy for eliminating all aspects of belief in God. And society was set up to thrive like that. Well, as we know, it didn't thrive. And it crushed the human spirit. It crushed society. And ultimately, that experiment failed. But ironically enough, we have forces in our country, politicians and educators and intellectuals, who are trying to get us to go in that same direction, only a little different form. They wouldn't want to do a totalitarian atheism USA, but they seem to want to bring us along in another atheistic form. And I'm saying to myself, aren't we going to get the same result that we got in the USSR? Aren't we going to go down that same road? I think we are, because if you strip away meaning and purpose and the basis for ethics and morality, you're going to get the same result.
They like the commercial atheism of Red China. It's a kinder, gentler atheism.
Yeah, with 60 million people murdered by a regime who basically thought they were God.
And think of all the young people who are unemployed here now that we could put to work making iPhones.
Yeah.
Should we be able to change that altogether? Thank you, Christina. Always good to hear from you. And let's go back to the phones and talk with Brian on line 3. Brian, you're on the town square with Reverend Mel and Pastor Jeff. Thank you, Brian. And,
right, yeah. Thank you for great comments. And I really appreciate what you had to say. And I think you give us a lot to think about. When we look at Scripture, this country, do we see government from its inception being small, limited, discrete? Whereas when we look at the last century, what do we see government doing? Becoming big, impositional, centralized, foreboding. I think what you understand is God does make a difference. A huge difference even in the area of how we set up things politically. Let alone those questions that are of more weighty importance, like origin, meaning, morality, and destiny.
Well, it's It's been a pleasure talking about your upcoming seminar here tomorrow night in the Atheist Forum. It's set up for Tuesday night at 6:30 at the
Pendergrass Library.
Pendergrass Library, but I was trying to think of the room is the
Fireplace. Yeah,
fireplace room.
Very heated discussions over there.
Yeah, so I assume that you'll have a blazing fire in there since you have the fireplace to work with. But that gives us pause to say that I think the Pendergrass Library is having their book sale this week, aren't they? At the
Yes.
Renaissance Center?
Yeah, it's right.
Yes.
It's at a new location
So,
this year.
We should mention that by way of a commercial forum for
Yeah.
the Pendergrass Library. That's their big fundraiser of the year. We urge people to get their donations made and get so they can get them ready for this weekend's kickoff. But
Yeah.
I want to thank both of you for coming on the town square and talking about this meeting that you're going to have. It should be a very interesting forum. And,
Thank you for having us.
Pastor Jeff and Reverend Mel, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the town square. And
Jeff, Yeah,
Go
thank
ahead.
you very much, and appreciate the callers too.
It was great.
And love the discussion. We want to continue the discussion.
Absolutely, and it should be a spirited discussion tomorrow night at the Fireplace Room at the Pendergrass Library. And we have to take a commercial break, and we'll be back to finish up on the town square, and we'll even be taking a vicarious trip down to Palm Harbor, Florida. So stick with us on the town square on News Talk 1240. We'll be right back.
All right.
Well, thank you, gentlemen.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you for
I
letting us
appreciate it.
tell people about this. Well, we didn't get any atheist callers, but maybe they'll show up.
Yeah, you
I
did.
thought-
Judy fits the bill on every.
Is she?
Every.
Yeah.
Practical
Is
atheist.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's an atheist. She just doesn't know it.
Yeah, right.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
That all works.
All right, let's see here.